or a lifestyle. So one of the things that we really like to promote is something that we call the replacement method, which is a simple practice of creating habits.
Yep.
So we can make this a lifestyle versus a diet. So in the beginning, if if you're used to eating a certain way, maybe we'll just start by adding in something healthy for breakfast. So maybe instead of having the bacon and eggs and pancakes or whatever that might be, the first step for you might be a bowl of fruit, and that might be a major step for most people. Some of our clients, a big step is literally having, 3 to 5 glasses of water a day. And that's a massive step because they don't drink any water. They drink soda and coffee all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So even something small like that is massive, and it takes a certain amount of time to really solidify that habit. But so we'll just add in something great. And somebody who might be a little bit more advanced might skip the fruit and might do a smoothie, might do a juice in the morning, and not change anything else. Not change lunch, not change dinner. And if you have any snacks, not change that either. But just change that one thing by adding in something great and working on that for 4 to 6 weeks or however long it takes for you to solidify it and make it into a habit. So it becomes second nature. So it doesn't feel like struggle. It doesn't feel like you're on a diet. It's just as normal for you as brushing your teeth in the morning would be. And then once that's solid in your life, then you can work on adding something in for your lunchtime or whatever that may be for you, or dinner time, or whatever one you decide to tackle next. And one of the things is after a while you're adding in such amazing foods, you just don't have enough time or energy in the day to eat all the great foods you're adding in, plus all those foods that weren't serving you anymore. But by also taking the time and doing it that way, you really create an entire set of beneficial habits that, doesn't feel like the diet mentality where you're on again, off again, on again, off again. And it's more of the lifestyle mentality, like this is how I can change and focus my will and direction according to the priorities that I've now set for myself. If it's amazing health, great. A lot of people, when they hear the raw food diet or lifestyle, they think of, gosh, I don't have the willpower to do that. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we really like to look at and break apart is the thought behind willpower. Like most people, willpower is an ugly word. It connotates struggle. It connotates a hard time.
That's right.
And so we just kind of skip over that and say, well, let's break that down. Let's remove the word willpower and talk about your will and aligning your will according to what you want to see or create in your life. And so that's really what we focus on, is aligning your will. Because then as you take these steps and create beneficial habits, not only is it changing your diet, but you're also flexing and building up that muscle that says that I can change or create anything in my life. And I can use the same principles I've used with this into anything else. So if you're a smoker, or if you find you gossip a lot, or if you find that, you might be unproductive at work or lazy, you can use those same principles and you can apply it to anything, your relationship with your husband or your wife. Because the last thing that we want is this to be another diet for people, because we all know diets don't work. There's a new diet book out every other day. They're trying to sell you on something every other day, and diets are made to fail. I mean, people start a diet for, they want to look good in a bathing suit as the summer's coming in, and they eat this crazy way, a certain type of way. And then, after, the 4 weeks is up, they go back to eating what they did before. They usually put on the weight, or maybe the same health conditions come back. And it's always a stop and start type of thing. And sometimes when people get into those extremes, well, like I did, unfortunately it worked for me, but generally when people get into those heavy extremes, like you said before, it brings you in that swinging back and forth type of thing, which then becomes a diet mentality and not really a lifestyle. So, one of the things we like to look at is eliminating that mindset completely, so people can really feel strong as to finding this as being, a solution in their life, or at least a modified solution in their life. Because one of the things that I noticed that when people get into extremes is they'll, say, okay, I switched overnight into 100% raw diet, and they're really going for it and trying. And one of the things that I really go through with a lot of clients is the idea of, emotions and emotional eating and how emotions affect us. And generally what we notice a lot of times, my wife and I, with our coaching, is that somebody will try this type of lifestyle or diet, and then maybe some stress comes up in life, some stress at work, some stress with a family member, what have you. And usually when we're eating a really heavy and condensed standard American processed diet, we might go out and emotionally eat. It might be eating pizza, it might be eating ice cream, it might be eating whatever that thing is for you. And then it sort of weighs down those emotions. And then you feel like calm, but you're just sort of sedating yourself and using food as a bit of a drug, right? And people love that because food's consistent. It does that,
Yes.
all the time for us. Every time you go to eat a large pizza, it's going to kind of put those emotions at bay and calm everything down. And then when you're switching to this raw food diet where you're eating very light and vibrant foods, it doesn't do such a good job of weighing those emotions down and burying those emotions. So then people might have an emotional spike one day or feel some kind of emotion or tension, and they'll go to eat their salad, and it just doesn't do the same job as that pizza did. So then they'll end up switching and going back to eating a standard American diet. Maybe it's only a day, maybe it's only a meal. But the most important thing, or I guess the lethal thing out of all of that I see, is the feeling that they get. Then there's a feeling of failure. Then there's the feeling of guilt. Then there's the feeling of, I couldn't do it again. And it sort of solidifies that story that we play out in our head that says, I'll never be able to lose the weight. I'll never be able to get into my ideal, body or shape or, fitness level or whatever that happens to be. And then it's like, hey, I'll try again Monday. You try again Monday. The emotion comes up a few days later. You go back. And every time you do that back and forth swing, it's another layer of that, story, another layer of that feeling of depression or sadness or failure that gets piled on.